There has certainly been no shortage of conversation around Nintendo now pushing the boundaries of the price ceiling for games to $80. And a lot of that has to do more with the principle as opposed to the $10 difference between 70 and 80. But now we're starting to see them finally respond to this entire situation around Mario Kart World, which at this point is the only new game that's not, say, an older title packed with DLC or something, that is seeing that price point right out of the gate. Donkey Kong Bonanza is 70, Cyberpunk is 70, and we even have another game that we'll get to here soon that is the opposite end of the spectrum in terms of price points, but also still kind of drums up the same frustrations around Nintendo's approach so far to this generation. But I wanted to go over some of the responses here from Bill Trinen, who is the vice president of product and player experience, as well as Doug Bowser, of course, running things over at Nintendo of America, and what they had to say about specifically Mario Kart World's $80 price tag and how they're evaluating these other games going forward with this generation. So if you guys enjoy this video, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new. So let's actually start here with Bill Trinen in particular, who was talking with IGN and was asked about Mario Kart World and that $80 price tag. He said, I would say it's less about the strategy of pricing Mario Kart World. It's more just whenever we look at a given game, we just look at what is the experience and what's the content and what's the value. Mario Kart World, I think especially as you see from the Nintendo Direct, not to give you any hints or anything, but I did read your article this morning and I think you had mentioned that you didn't find a lot to discover when roaming around. So I would say tune into our Mario Kart Direct to see what maybe you'll be able to find out about that. But honestly, this is a game that is so big and so vast, and you will find so many little things in it to discover, and there's still some other secrets remaining that I think as people end up buying and playing the game, they're going to find this to be probably the richest Mario Kart experience you've ever had. So, the thing with this, he goes, hey, that Mario, I don't want to give it away, but that Mario Kart Direct is coming up here in a couple weeks now. It's on the 17th, so a week and a half. But stay tuned for that. So this is weird because they've shown us the price at 80, but they haven't made a great case for why Mario Kart World specifically should be $80. I look at that and go, okay, yeah, I mean, it looks like Mario Kart, which is great. Mario Kart's a fun game. And honestly, if this was just a $70 title, I think people would still look at it and be like, that's still expensive, clearly. $70 isn't cheap for a game. $80 certainly isn't. But you'd go, okay, I understand where the market moved to $70 games when the PS5 generation started up. Nintendo has already done this with Tears of the Kingdom. Okay, you know what? That's how things have just gone now. But testing and pushing to $80 has certainly caught a lot of people off guard. So now, of course, Mario Kart World goes under the magnifying glass as to why is it 80, and we're kind of in this weird limbo phase waiting for this direct. It's almost like it's almost like when you watch a movie and to start the movie they show you the end of it, some crazy event that's happened, and we're gonna go back in time now and show you how we got there because you just want to know. You're in suspense. It's almost like Nintendo thinks we're in suspense after seeing the $80 price, and everyone's waiting for that direct to see how they're going to justify it. I mean, in a way we kind of are, but also what this has really done is left people with a higher than expected price tag on Mario Kart with not a lot of reasons as to why. So it's not really like an interest or happy suspense. It's just a lot of frustration and anger right now online. So we did have Doug Bowser also comment on this. This was actually talking with Gene Park over at the Washington Post, and he did a very good interview there. I'll have it linked down below if you want to read through more of it. But Doug Bowser said, what you see right there is variable pricing. Look at each game, really look at the development that's gone into each game, the breadth and depth of the gameplay, if you will, the durability over time, and the repeatability of gameplay experiences. Those are all factors, and there's many more that go into consideration of what is the right price point for the game. So I think you can anticipate that there will be variable pricing, and we haven't set a benchmark. What was funny about this is it's PR speak clearly from Doug Bowser as to trying to navigate this answer in a very corporate-like way, especially when talking in an interview here with the Washington Post that he knows is going to be making the rounds quite a bit, sure. It actually kind of reminds me a bit of what he said for Tears of the Kingdom, actually, because, of course, he had to try to explain his way out of that one, too, at the $70 price and give an idea as to why Nintendo was doing that mid-generation. And for that one, this was in 2023, by the way, he said, "We look at what the game has to offer." This was with AP News in an interview. "I think fans will find this is an incredibly full, deeply immersive experience. The price point reflects the type of experience that fans can expect when it comes to playing this particular game. This isn't a price point that we'll necessarily have on all our titles. It's actually a fairly common pricing model either here or in Europe or other parts of the world, where the pricing may vary depending on the game itself." We've already gone through all of that. That's how pricing got jumbled up and people thought there was like a $90 physical version in the US somewhere. But that aside, the thing with Doug Bowser and how he's sort of talking about Mario Kart World is something that's sort of kind of annoys me a little bit when it comes to game and people measuring value with it. So one of the arguments for a lot of games comes down to how many hours you get out of it. Like, if you get 100 hours of a game out of a game, it should be $100. We've heard that argument before from analysts or heads of different publishers that want to charge more money. Like, hey, if we gave you an experience, you should get $1 an hour minimum. It's like, oh, okay, well, good luck to the Fortnite players or the Call of Duty players out there that have like 800 hours in a game. So to me, I don't think that's a great argument, because you can have, I think many people have had this before, an experience that feels like it's a full priced experience for the market, which 60, for a couple gens ago, 70 now or whatever, that maybe it was 10 to 15 hours long. You're like, man, that was a really good game. I'm definitely happy with spending that much more on it because I feel like I got a lot out of it. Or maybe it's a game that you play through multiple times and you end up at 50 or 60 hours. That is the other big thing, is technically any game you buy, you can spend as much time as you want in it. Maybe you really like Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Okay, and you just really like the characters, the world, the graphics, the gameplay, whatever, and you just kind of hang out, run around the levels, and eventually look at your time spent, and you're like 40-something hours. At that point, you go, oh, wow, okay, yeah, I got a lot out of this game compared to the 12 to 15 hours it's supposed to take to beat it, and then kind of move on from there. But that's, to me, is one of the reasons I'm not a huge fan of it. And then also, I feel like because that's been brought up before, that many developers or studios, even publishers, will kind of stretch out or pad out their games to get to a certain threshold for hours spent playing it. And there are many times where you kind of notice it in a game, like, oh, the world's ending, but this NPC just takes a leisurely stroll to the next objective, and it's always like faster than you can walk but slower than you can run, and it ends up being really, really annoying. Or there is some video game reason as to why you can't go through that door that you should be able to break because your person has like superhuman strength, but now you got to go all the way around, and for some reason that took an hour to go through the sewers or something. So yeah, those are noticeable things, and it does make me wonder when that's happening. Am I doing this because it makes the game better, or because they needed to get to like the 20-hour mark for, in their mind, to be worth 60 or 70 bucks? Now, I mentioned a game that also got a price point that's on the opposite end of the spectrum, and that's that Welcome Tour. It's $10. And I said on the podcast recently, this past weekend, that it would actually be worse if it was $10, because then everyone's going to look around and go, why wasn't that just in the box? That, like, why didn't it just come with the system? It makes a lot of sense, and I think it would be a fun add-on to have if you just turn the system on and it's already there, and it's just, it shows off the mouse, the mouse controls, it shows off the higher resolution, the frame rate, ways for the more mainstream gamers and consumers that aren't, again, plugged in, following stuff daily, to be like, oh, okay, that's the difference between 120 frames and 30 frames. I know it sounds weird to be like, oh, obviously there's a difference. There are people out there who say they can't tell the difference between 30 and 60, and I'm sure 120 is something they've never really experienced before. So having that, say, on like the handheld screen and be able to show things moving across the screen at different frame rates, that'd be kind of fun to have that packed in. It being $10 feels like there was, in Reggie's book, I believe, he had mentioned that with the Wii, Nintendo wanted to sell Wii Sports separately. They didn't want to pack it in. It's like, no, we made this, we're going to charge money for it. That was kind of the mentality there. And according to Reggie, they at Nintendo of America kind of convinced Nintendo's headquarters in Japan, you should really pack this game in because it does a very good job showing off the Wii Remote, and it was a very different way to play games at that time, going from the GameCube to the Wii. I mean, like different planets almost of playing games. So it made a lot of sense, and to this day, people will look back on the Wii and Wii Sports as an incredible thing. Like, just playing Wii Sports for the first time, bowling, tennis, boxing, it's like ingrained in people's memories. And it's crazy to think it was, I mean, next year it'll be 20 years, right, in 2026. But it's something that was a genius move. And again, it will go down in history as one of the best selling games I know because it was a bundle, but most memorable games, I will say that. Bring up Wii Sports to most people, that theme music probably clicks on in their mind immediately. So to see this, it is I think a bit of a miss to not just have that there, but to be that sense of, we made this, you need to pay for it, even though it's kind of like that interactive instruction manual. So that actually feels kind of more insulting in a way than the $80 jump, kind of, because it should have just been packed in, and that one feels more like the Nintendo hubris or greed, kind of, as opposed to this $80 game, although they both fall under that, but like in general for Welcome Tour. Now, here's the thing with Mario Kart World. All right, so people are, of course, now coming up with theories because there's this buffer of time as we're waiting for the Direct to happen. People are coming up with theories as to why it's priced at $80 and if it will ever make sense, like seeing what they could show us at this Direct. I think the leading theory I've seen is that they could show off that Mario Kart World is indeed bigger than we're thinking. All we've seen are really Mario Kart races, as we've experienced in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, just with more racers, of course, bigger tracks, and the free run mode, which didn't seem like much was happening there. The belief is maybe this is like a big open world multiplayer experience in Mario Kart where a ton of people can be driving around in this world that has like literal adventures to go on with your friends or even just by yourself, almost as the live service Mario Kart game, but one that almost also leans into the idea of like an MMO Mario Kart game. And that sounds crazy, but that would be shown as, hey, look how massive this game really is. Look how much content is here. And then on top of that, could they take a roadmap of downloadable content, tracks, different characters, drivers, carts, whatever, and just have it as like a roadmap of stuff that goes in? And that $80 price point is sort of like if you bought Mario Kart 8 Deluxe at $60 and then the booster course packed in, that would technically be $85. So this would then be $5 less. These are just things people are trying, like the gymnastics in their mind people are doing to try to figure out why this thing is $80, because Nintendo just isn't telling us at this time. I will say the thing that multiplayer games tend to run into an issue, and this was very obvious during the 360 era and PS3 era, is that if you do downloadable content, paid packs for multiplayer games, say maps or anything like that, if you're going into matchmaking, everyone has to have the pack too. Otherwise, you either won't matchmake together or they just won't pick that map, like the servers and stuff. So the idea of eliminating these different packs, like specific like paid packs that not everyone has, I think is actually crucial in general now more than ever with how a lot of these live service free-to-play games do things, so that you don't have that issue and it's parity across the board. Maybe that's the way Nintendo's looking at it and that is their strategy, but we won't know until the 17th. And that's been the most frustrating part, because otherwise Doug Bowser, Bill Trinen are kind of talking in circles and just saying, hey, variable pricing, so who knows what you're going to get? And that's the other thing is, whenever we see the next big 3D Zelda game or 3D Mario, or even honestly right now, I'm looking at it, Splatoon, there's going to be that sense of, wow, this looks really cool, just waiting for that price, just kind of like, just waiting, sitting there, is it 70, is it 80? And then they show you the price one way or the other. You're either relieved to see 70, which sounds weird, or annoyed to see 80. So it's just kind of all over the place now when it comes to this, and who knows what we're going to get with the next release. And I guess the next big thing we'll look towards is this Mario Kart World Direct, and if they can indeed flip the narrative or the attitude around this game, currently the view of it, and make people think that, okay, Nintendo's kind of meeting us there at that $80 price, but whew, they got their work cut out for them with that one. Let me know what you guys think about this down below, though, with Doug Bowser, Bill Trinen, kind of responding here to the higher price point, specifically around Mario Kart World. And is there anything they could show at this Direct that would make you ease up a bit on the $80 price point? Or is it indeed more about the principle of things and what this could mean for the gaming industry at large going forward? Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.